What's up, metas? We got big news dropping today. One of the first big patches that Once Human's going to drop on us has just come out this morning, and there's some stuff in here I had no idea that they were going to bring to the table. Some big changes, potentially really fun changes depending on the features of Once Human that you're enjoying the most, and some revamping to one of the features I think needed a little love, shall we say. So we're going to run through what was posted here in the 1.1 Once Human patch notes here, and try to pick through this a little bit because it's dense. It's a big one, and pick out some of the favorites and see what all's going on in the Once Human update coming up. So they posted about it here early this morning in their Discord. This Once Human patch notes 1.1. Once Human 1 to go server maintenance on the 14th, as it's going to be updated, is fairly large. Maintenance is expected to last for about 5 hours. So do make note of that. The game will be down for several hours when this patch drops, which, you come to expect that, right? One of the top features here that just I had no idea they were going to bring to the table is a new animal ranching feature, apparently. It says a brand new animal ranching feature is now available. Capture and raise animals and build the post-apocalyptic ranch of your dreams. First point being, most animals encountered in the open world, including deer, wolves, sheep, wild boars, bears, rabbits, and crocodiles, can be captured and brought back to your territory to be raised. Even more animals will be made available in the future. Each animal has different habits and characteristics. You must build special housing for each type of animal and provide the appropriate food. Once an animal is tame enough, you'll be able to collect skins or meat from them. Now, they say you can collect meat or skins. I'm wondering if that, logically you'd think that would kill them, right? Like if you're going to take their meat, they're probably going to die. But the way this is worded almost makes it sound as if the point is it's sustainable. So not sure how that's going to work exactly. It says some animals are aggressive by nature. It can even help you defend your territory against deviant invasions. Now that is an interesting word there, deviant invasions. If you played the beta at all, the early betas, you may or may not recall that there was a mechanic in the early betas where deviants would attack your base somewhat at random on both PvE and PvP servers. They took that out. Maybe this is a sign that they want to bring it back. Maybe they wanted to bring it back when people were more experienced at the game and had more options for defending their base. I don't know. They could just mean cortex purification when they say deviant invasion, but the way that's worded makes me think maybe they're bringing back that invasion feature. I thought it was kind of fun. It was a little bit hit or miss the way that it was implemented before, because you could get attacked very early on and they never explained what it was, right? Like they never said like, hey, this is a random PvE event that just like occurs. Like you would just suddenly find your base getting attacked. And they didn't have a tutorial or anything, so most people didn't have turrets up or anything. They didn't really realize they needed turrets. It was kind of a slap together thing. It was kind of cool, but at the same time it kind of sucked, because you would just all of a sudden lose half your base. You're like, whoa, what's going on? Implemented properly though, with some like warning and some heads up time and better mechanics to it, could be kind of a cool feature. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Says an upcoming September update will even allow you to breed animals to obtain rare and unique critters. So that's pretty interesting. So we've got animal husbandry rolled into this. We're going to be able to breed them, which is interesting. They say rare and unique critters. Now, I have heard there's some changes coming as well to the deviants and an ability to combine deviants together, and maybe there's going to be like special cages and stuff too, which we're going to cover those updates in another video later on today. But it seems like they're starting to move in the direction of, what else can you call it, like almost like Pokemon How World type mechanics with some of the deviants and now the animals, where they want you to be able to like breed them together, have different stats, get rare and unique critters. That'll be interesting. I mean, it's really going to depend on what that means, right? Like how much effort it takes, what you get out of it, and you know how that's going to fit into the overall like season architecture, right? Like right now in the current season, you know, I don't see where I need more stuff to interact with the world, but they've promised that different seasons are going to offer totally different characteristics and totally different survival mechanics. So it may be that in some seasons the addition of animal breeding is going to be pretty big. Maybe there's not a lot of animals in the world in a particular season, right? Or a particular biome that we're in. So the need to capture an animal and bring it back to your base and raise it and cultivate that resource becomes important because it's not readily available like it is in the current world. You know, I could see that happening, and that would be pretty interesting. And that would change the dynamics of how you approach certain things in the world. You know, instead of just shooting that deer, you're like, whoa, okay, that deer's rare, that's valuable, we need that. And now we come to the feature I think definitely needed some love, which is revamping the fishing system, as they say. It says, since launch, we've received a lot of valuable feedback concerning the fishing minigame. Players have reported being unable to catch fish or confusion regarding the fishing controls. We understand where you're coming from, so we've revamped some aspects of the fishing system. The waiting time has been reduced, and we've increased the number of fish each fish tank can hold. We've also added lots of rare new fish types. So this is good to hear. Personally, I'm a fan of doing fishing usually in games. I was not a fan of doing fishing in Once Human. The feedback in the system was very poor. They didn't improve it over the betas, but it was still pretty poor. I could usually catch the fish, but I did it more by guesswork and wiggling my mouse around and hoping to get lucky rather than any kind of skill or interaction with the mini game itself, which always felt pretty bad. So if they can fix this up and they can nail this, that would be great. You know, I'm not saying obviously Once Human's gonna all of a sudden become like a fishing mini game of note, but there are certainly a lot of RPGs out there that manage to make fishing a lot less unfun than Once Human has made it. So there's definitely a lot of room to be improved here. And the whole thing with only being able to put one fish in a fish tank always was very weird. So the fact that they're changing this is great, and I don't know why it was ever that way in the first place. But you know, cool that they're making that change. First point here says the new fishing mini game is a battle between your stamina and the fish's energy. The tension on the fishing line is displayed in the center of the screen. You must reel in the fish as much as possible while keeping the fishing line from snapping. When the fish runs out of energy, you have successfully caught it. So that's fairly standard, right? Like that's usually how fishing games work. You know, you have to balance tension versus the fish's stamina, and you know, that's the battle. And you have to reel when it's, you know, not pulling so your line doesn't snap, and then eventually, you know, you pull it in. So that sounds like exactly what you would expect. Of course, we don't know how exactly that's going to feel yet, but you know, that seems like fairly standard. It says some small fish can now be used as bait. Large and ferocious fish prefer small fish to common bait. So they're going to offer more baiting options, giving you a use for some of the small fish that you may catch. That's a cool feature. I mean, again, that's very logical. Third point says optimize the fish types. Reduce the waiting time required when fishing or reeling in a fish. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by reduce the waiting time. I'm guessing they mean like, you know, the part where you have like your bobber in the water and you're waiting for a bite. I don't generally feel like this was too long, but if they want to reduce it and make fishing faster, I guess I'm okay with that. But it wasn't something that stuck out to me as like, man, I have to wait too long for a fish to bite. Maybe just because the whole fishing mini game was so bad that, you know, how long I had to wait never really stood out. But hey, you know, if they're optimizing that, cool. Fourth point says added a new rare fish, with a variety of different like new fish types. I'm not going to go through all these, but they're just variations on fish that already exist from the looks of it. Just rare variations, which is cool. You know, if you're a collector and you want to utilize the new bigger fish tank and you know, trick out your house and stuff like that with all your cool fish you've caught, this is a cool feature, you know, and that may be something I definitely consider doing. Because like I say, usually I like fishing, so I'm okay with that. 5 says wow, I can't talk. Optimized fish tanks to allow them to hold multiple fish at once. Each fish tank can hold up to 8 fish, depending on the size of the fish. So now we've got some specifics on how many fish we can actually hold. And they say depending on the size of the fish. So there may be some experimentation required there. Maybe you can only get like 3 or 4 big fish, whereas you can get like up to 8 small fish. I think, again, that's fairly logical, you know. I mean, it would be cool, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do this in the future, like if the fishing really gets good positive feedback, to see like different size tanks, maybe even bigger tanks, where you could fit like more large fish, or have like a more kind of a, you know, a wall length sort of like aquarium style setup, you know, where you can have like a really big tank with a bunch of big fish and small fish all in one tank or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they add stuff like that down the line, but this is already good changes, right? Like this is all positive stuff, assuming the mini game is actually fun to interact with. You know, and they've got like a picture here of a guy just fishing. It doesn't show the new mini game or anything. And then this, I would assume, is the updated, you know, sort of like look at how many fish you may be able to potentially put in like a fish tank. Next thing is new wilderness game modes, Sproutless Conquest, exclusive to Evolution's Call. So Evolution's Call would be the PvP server. Says that it's going to open every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 4:20 server time. A random settlement in Chalk Peak, Lone Wolf, or the Blackheart region. The rules: the game mode lasts for 20 minutes. Sproutletite will start spawning 5 minutes after the event starts, and can be obtained through various mining methods. Metas in the event zone will be in PvP teams. During the event, the more Sproutletite you carry, the more Sproutletite you will drop when defeated. Rewards: metas can exchange Sproutletite for Sproutlets at a 1-to-1 conversion rate with Nisa in the camp. So this is going to be basically a bigger, more involved version of the cargo shuffle event. You're going to be able to be on teams. It's going to last for longer, 20 minutes. I think cargo shuffle is generally around like 5 minutes. And you'll probably be able to get more of the Sproutlets than you can in the regular cargo shuffle. Not only because of time, but because it sounds like you're going to be able to mine them. So this is cool because this is going to give you a way to get more of that currency, to buy stuff from Nisa. Hopefully they also expand Nisa's inventory to have more stuff to buy from her. Right now it says it's on PvP only, which, I mean, it is a very PvP focused event. Maybe this will move over to PvE eventually if it goes well. I don't know. I mean, I've definitely noticed a lot of people jumping into the cargo shuffles, even on the PvE server I'm on. Probably more out of an interest in the currency rather than the PvP itself. But, you know, we'll see how this goes forward. You know, I would say the PvP in Once Human it's not its greatest feature. You know, I have done a lot of the PvP. I was on PvP all throughout the beta. It was never terribly well balanced or an amazing interaction. Hopefully they continue to iterate on that. I know there's a lot of people that were coming to this game specifically for PvP, so good news for them to have something more to, you know, focus the PvP on the server around an event with rewards and stuff like that. Ancient One's trial. People have reported seeing the Ancient One descend upon the highest mountain in Chalk Peak. The Ancient One's trial awaits any meta who can climb to the top of that tall mountain. Board the Ancient One and face a trial that will test your determination and courage. Metas who earn the Ancient One's recognition shall receive lots of rewards. Call upon your most trustworthy companions and attempt the Ancient One's trial together. Pretty vague on what that means, but it sounds like a new event that's opening up, perhaps on both servers. Doesn't say anything specific about PvE or PvP. It says it's on a very high mountain in Chalk Peak, which is, I believe, the 3rd zone. So we'll just have to jump in game and check that out. Maybe we'll make a video on that in the future, once we discover more of what that means. The next thing being mod conversion. This mod conversion is unlocked when you reach level 40 in the novice season, or when you enter a non-novice season. Mod conversion function can be accessed from the upper right corner of the mod backpack. 2, you can now convert 6 unenhanced legendary mods into a legendary mod with a main attribute of your choice. So this is pretty big. If I'm understanding what this is saying correctly, this is essentially a way to probably quite drastically speed up your mod farming process. Right now, there's not really any kind of there's no real kind of system for breaking down mods and tailoring them in any kind of way. You just sort of like run through a dungeon, look at the mod. If it's crap, it's crap. Maybe you break it down for upgrade parts, and then you just move on and you just do it again and 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 hope for RNG to eventually come your way. This is suggesting that you can now convert 6 mods into 1 mod and choose the main attribute on that mod. So if you need crit rate or something like that, it sounds like you're going to be able to say, I want crit rate as my main mod, which is that first slot on a mod. Now, it doesn't say anything about how that mod is going to necessarily roll on that main attribute. That may still be random, which means you may not necessarily get a purple or a legendary roll on that stat. So there may still be a good amount of RNG involved to getting your perfect legendary mods rolled, but the fact that you even can tailor it this much is still pretty nice. This is going to reduce the RNG that you have to interact with significantly. So we'll have to see how this, kind of comes together. And we'll see what else they list here. It says mods obtained via conversion may contain basic suffixes, non-violent, precision, or deviant energy. If 4 of the 6 mods used for the conversion contain the same suffix, the converted mod is guaranteed to have that suffix. This is assuming that the converted mod is able to have the suffix. For example, Lucky 7 cannot have the precision suffix, and Embers cannot have the frost vortex suffix. Okay, so this is kind of explaining how you're going to be able to tailor it. And rather than just clicking a button saying, I want violent or I want precision, you're going to feed it those types of mods. So this does reduce the RNG, but it also means that you're going to need a little bit of RNG in your favor to get the right suffixes to then melt them down. And then of course it's also worth keeping in mind that when you're converting 6 mods into 1 to roll, you're also not getting the mod upgrade currency anymore because you're melting them down. So depending on how much farming you've already done and how many of those mod currencies you have for upgrading, you may sort of pin yourself in a bit of a corner, right? And have to do more farming and just junking before you can do more smelting or combining, whatever you want to call it. So, keep that in mind. And if you're not aware of how the suffixes work, we're already considering doing a DPS and mod kind of video on how this stuff really comes together, because I find some people really don't understand how it all works. And to be fair, they haven't been the best at really explaining it. It's something you just kind of have to figure out. So we may provide some more guidance on that in the future. 4 says the converted mods attribute levels depend on the attribute levels of the 6 mods used for the conversion. converted mods attribute levels depend on the attribute levels of the 6 mods used for the conversion. So that sounds like it's saying if you have bad rolls on the mods you're smelting, you may also have bad rolls on the one you're making. It's hard to know what depends on means. Like, is it saying it's going to carry over those rarities, or is it saying it will improve if they're bad? Like, it's hard to say, hard to know what that means. If it's saying that, like, if you don't have legendary rolls on the one you're smelting or combining with, you won't get legendary rolls on the new one, I think that would be counterproductive to a certain degree for this mechanic. But you know, the thing is that you always have, the way like mods work, sort of like a TLDR, is there's always a chance, or no, there's a guaranteed rarity on at least one of the stats. So it is fully possible to roll a mod that has multiple like purple and legendary substats, but it's not on the stats that you need, right? Like if you're going like full crit, your build needs more crit, and then you rolled a bunch like into, I don't know, like reload or something like that on a legendary level, that carrying over still would be useful for you to potentially getting that roll onto the crit where you want it to be. But if you're picking up a lot of like garbage mods without like good rolls, and then this is saying like, well, we're not going to give you like way better rolls when you combine them, that might be kind of counterproductive. But I don't want to make any assumptions yet on how this is going to work. We'll just kind of see. I mean, this definitely puts me in the mind of you know, a mechanic that a lot of gacha games have, you know, where they really center around grinding for ideal substats and everything on your gear. Then eventually they introduce a way to like combine gear together or break it down in some kind of way to guarantee like your main stat roll, or let you re-roll the gear or something like that. But they usually do something kind of similar where they don't want to make it too easy for you to farm, because they, you know, the idea is for you to keep playing the game, right? To be spending a lot of time focusing on that farming. So they usually kind of build in some sort of like, you know, little asterisk or something to the system where it's like, well, this is going to help you out, but we don't want to make it too easy, you know. And that's kind of what this is sounding like, where it's like this is their qualifier of like, we don't want you to have like your mods all maxed out and super perfect too easily, you know. And then it becomes a question of like how much is that qualifier at the detriment of the entire like point of the system, right? But you know, like I said, I don't want to make any assumptions on this based on like sort of vague wording. We'll probably make an updated video on mod converting and stuff like that when it's available to us, as we check it out. Controller support is coming to the game, which personally I don't really care about. I don't use controller in a game like this, but I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people are going to be happy about this. And I think this is something that the game should just have. So I'm glad for all the controller people out there. It says Once Human now supports game controllers. Experience the game in a different way with your favorite controller. The game will automatically detect your controller's button layout. Currently, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch Pro controller layouts are available. If your controller is not correctly recognized by the game, please report your controller's model and your preferred button layout to us. You may choose from any of the following preset control schemes, which is just basically they've got like a default, which is, they say, is going to be suitable for most players. A left-handed setup for left-handed players. That's always nice when they include something for left-handed players. Left-handed people don't get very much love out there. Shooter, similar to most mainstream shooting games, or an action layout, which they say is similar to most mainstream action games. Says you can choose which preset to use or customize your own control scheme at the settings screen. This is nice to see. I at first when I was reading this, I thought, oh, they're not going to give you the ability to like customize it at all. They're just going to give you presets. They are giving you the ability to customize it, so that is good. That is a win. As controller support is a new feature, we are still optimizing some parts of the game for controllers, and controllers may not work with all features. We are working hard to make the necessary adjustments and improvements to give you the best experience possible. Controller support currently is unavailable for the following features: camera mode, actions relating to weapon or vehicle stickers, playing the piano, or other features that may be hard to use with a controller. If that's all you can't use a controller for, that's pretty solid so far. I think camera mode obviously is a little bit of a disappointment. I think that'll be one that'll probably not take long for them to fix. Vehicle stickers, I guess some people might care about that, but I can't say I've ever slapped a sticker on a vehicle. Playing the piano is, I can kind of see that one, but you know, again, I'm sure they'll get that figured out. It says if the game freezes or any other problem occurs while playing with the controller, please report it to us via feedback channels. Your opinions and suggestions are important to us. We take them seriously and will address them as soon as possible. We have also implemented other optimizations regarding keyboards, controllers, and the relevant settings as follows. Added support for controller vibration. You know, that makes sense. Added support for French and German keyboards. That's good. Optimize the display logic of the control settings screen, as well as some of the descriptions to make it easier to find specific settings. Hopefully that's going to be a good thing. You know, like I don't envy developers trying to make control setting screens that make sense, but a lot of the times they are very much like a kind of a jumbled mess of stuff. So hopefully they can come up with a good system for that. This is a pretty big one. I know this is one that a lot of people wanted to see. Cross character sharing for paid content is going live. It says cross character sharing for paid content is now officially available. Paid cosmetics and premium currencies such as I'm not sure if that's how you say that. Christian, I think, can be shared by all characters under the same account in the same region. For more information, refer to the Once Human cross character sharing rules announcement on our official website. So, you know, for those who may or may not be aware, maybe watching this video and haven't played Once Human yet, originally paid cosmetic stuff bought in the cash shop for real money was limited to only the character you bought it on. A lot of people were upset about this, and I think justifiably so, and I agree with them. They, you know, sort of reversed gears on this and said, okay, we're going to make this stuff available across all of your characters. It hadn't gone live yet. This is now that that system officially going live, where if you buy a cosmetic on one character, it would be available on all characters on all servers. Next section here says server invitations. Special invitation codes are now available. If a server is full, players already on the server can find their special invitation code on their player info screen, which can be accessed via the menu. They can then share this special invitation code with their friends. Friends who receive the special invitation code can use it to enter the server, even if it is already full. And then there is a note that says, as servers have restricted capacity, there is still a limit to the number of players who can join each server using the special invite codes. Once a server reaches this limit, no more players may join it, even if they have a code. Hence, it is recommended that you invite your friends as soon as possible. Each player can invite up to 5 friends. So this was a big complaint in the first server now that we're a part of for Once Human. A lot of people, their friends didn't join right away, or they weren't there on launch day, or they didn't know if they wanted to play the game or something like that, and they came in late, and all the initial servers were already full, and they locked them so that more people could not join. And a lot of people were upset about this, right? They couldn't play with their friends, again, justifiably so. And there really wasn't much of a system for the servers eventually sort of losing population and letting more people in. Most of the servers didn't really open up, and if they did open up, they opened up only for a very brief amount of time. And the only servers I heard about getting much of any influx of new players were servers that content creators or streamers were on, and their community was trying to get in to play with them. Outside of that, I didn't really see new people just randomly popping into servers and being like, hey, this server's open now. Now I got kind of lucky. I don't think it had anything to do with me being a content creator, because I'm not very big, but the server I'm on has stayed active, has had a very active community, has worked together extensively during the Prime Wars, and has always been like super good. But I know a lot of other people have complained that their servers were not like that, that they were dead, that there was no real cooperation between people for Prime Wars, that there was, negative attitudes and stuff like that. So I got sort of lucky, I guess, and hopefully that can continue, because I've really enjoyed my server, and I felt like the experience I've got there was, pretty much right on point of what I would imagine the developers are aiming for. So this is a nice thing to see, in order to give you like a little more flexibility, but they also like put that qualifier there almost immediately that there is a limitation even on the amount of people that can be invited. And they say each player can invite up to 5 friends, but I don't know if that means if I invite my friend and he comes in, he also gets 5 invites as soon as he gets there. So is it now actually 9 invites minus the one I just used between the two of us, so we can invite more friends? If so, you probably could get all your friends in relatively easily. But if you're limited to 5 and then your friend you're inviting in doesn't get any invites, then you're still going to be pretty limited. Now, I know a lot of friend groups aren't bigger than 5. A lot of people are just 2 or 3 or maybe 4 friends. So maybe this won't be a big deal for most people. But for some groups, it may be potentially a big deal. And if you're a content creator who, has a decent audience, either on Twitch or YouTube, and you're trying to help get more of your subscribers and stuff in so that they can play with you, this could also still be a big deal and be a big limitator. Because, again, if you're limited to only 5, that's going to be a problem. But even if you're not only limited to 5, there's only so many invites that the server's going to allow. So this may not be the end all be all solution to your problem that some people are having, depending on how big your group is. But still good that they're offering this. At the very least, it's going to allow a lot more friends to be able to get onto the same server and play together, and have less issues hopefully getting there. And hopefully this will fluctuate throughout the server's lifespan as well. A week in, if a decent amount of people have stop playing or whatever, hopefully they have some sort of system in place where they're going to evaluate that, and they'll open back up the invites again, maybe even refresh your invites. Maybe if you used all 5 and the server filled up, but now we need more people, they'll refresh your invites and give you another 5 or something like that. This is something they really need to figure out. They really do. Games like this and the server dying is by far the biggest hurdle to the game's popularity being maintained, as like almost any other thing that I've experienced in survival games. This is a big reason why Rust servers wipe so aggressively, right? And why every time a new server pops up that is freshly wiped, people flood into it, because people want to be on the new server where everything is relatively new and even, and competition is levelized, and to compete and go hard in that first like week to 2 weeks. That is generally the cycle. Once Human, with the seasonal mechanic, is trying to extend that cycle and make it last over a month, potentially 2 months. But the only way to, I think, kind of continuously maintain that is to keep server population up. So they need to come up with a good mechanic for bringing players in. And the problem with that, of course, is if you come in like a week or 2 late, well, you're way behind, right? You have to go through all the content, you have to unlock everything, you have to kill the bosses, you have to start grinding and catching up to the progression of the server. So I would like to see also like some sort of catch-up mechanic rolled into this. Like once they figure out a good method for reopening servers and getting new blood in, we also need some sort of like catch-up mechanic for those people coming in, so that they can get through the content a little bit quicker and get caught up with the pace of the server and become active and contributing members of it quicker. Like I said, I got lucky with my server. I wasn't having a whole lot of issues finding people to do Prime War. But if you're on one of those servers where Prime Wars aren't popping and there ain't enough people, that sucks, right? Like, what do? I mean, you can't even re-roll to a bigger, more active server at that point, because one, it's closed, and two, you're going to be way behind. So hopefully they can continue to iterate on this and figure out good systems for this. I know this is a big point of feedback that a lot of people have been giving, both in the content creator Discord and in the regular Discord and out there in the community at large. Highly encourage you guys to continue to give that kind of feedback so they can figure this kind of stuff out, because community is, you know, a big part of this game. I mean, you need your friends and you need other players to do a lot of the content. And, you know, again, me being somebody who got, you know, extremely lucky with the server I ended up on, the community there has been super cool and is a big part of my enjoyment of it. Just talking in chat, networking with people, having people come and, you know, check out my videos, and even popping in and following my Twitch live stream and stuff like that. I've gotten a ton of support from the community I'm on, and it's vastly improved my experience with the game. And I would like that to be something that happens every season, both for myself and for more people. So I'm going to continue giving feedback on this. Hopefully you guys will do the same. And I think that is the end of the 1.1 patch notes. There is some other stuff that they've been dropping as well, which we're going to make some videos on, but that's going to be it for this video on the 1.1 patch. If you're excited for some of these changes, let me know down in the comment what your favorite features are that are coming, and whether or not you think this patch signals a good direction for Once Human. Do you like what you see here with some of these, you know, early big patches? Do you think they're making the right kind of changes, or do you think they're not really addressing the stuff that you think needs to be addressed, and these features are not interesting to you? Personally, I think the fishing revamp is probably the one I'm most excited about, just because, you know, like I say, I enjoy fishing and I think it needed some iteration. The animal ranching feature, I'm a little up in the air on. It's a cool thing, especially for people who like to do more survival focused mechanics, but I'm not sure how useful it's going to be yet, is kind of where I'm coming from. Like, well, kind of a cool feature, but why do I want to spend all that time working on it? You know, like, I'm curious how good these rare and unique creatures are going to be, and what their contributions to my base are going to be. You know, whether or not this deviant invasion thing is the PvE invasion mechanic coming back. You know, there's a lot of questions surrounding the animal ranching thing. The Ancient One's trial, we just don't know what that means. Mod conversion, potentially very, very hype. Very much speeding up the farming process, could be great, especially because mods carry over between seasons. So if you spend a lot of time working on these mods, they're going to be available to you in the future. So you may not necessarily have to do this over and over and over and over and over again. Controller support, I'm glad for the people who use controllers, but, you know, not me. Cross character sharing and paid content, obviously a big W. You know, the community really gave a lot of feedback on this, and the devs listened, so good on them. And then of course the server invitations is pretty great if you're trying to get your friends in. Personally, all my friends got on my server without any issues as well, but, you know, I know this was a problem for a lot of people. So as I say, comment down below, let me know what your features are that you're most interested in, and what feature you think is missing from this big 1.1 update that you wanted to see but is not addressed here. This is of course not like all the bugs and things that are being fixed and all the little stuff in between. This is just like a new feature overview, and like I say, we're gonna have some more videos coming out on seasons. We'll put out a video on like how the mod conversion stuff works and all that stuff here in the future as well. So hopefully you guys are having fun with Once Human just like I am. Thank you for watching the video. If it helps you out, please consider dropping a like, and maybe subscribing and supporting the channel. We're going to be hitting you with more videos like this in the future. Hopefully you guys are enjoying Once Human as much as I am. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy hunting out there.